This is Jacob with my co-host Alexa with your breaking news update on ACST Channel 8.
Harriet Tubman, nurse and scout in the Civil War and heroine of the Underground Railroad, died today, March 10, 1913, in Auburn, New York. She was born between 1820 and 1822 in a plantation owned by Anthony Thompson. Harriet played an important part in freeing many slaves from the South. She became known as Moses because she led her people to freedom. As you know, the fight to abolish slavery has been a long and difficult process. The greatest numbers of African American slaves were found in the South, where plantations required large workforces. All these slaves lacked rights and freedoms. Slaves were considered to be property of another person by law. They usually had to escape to the north in order to gain freedom. Interesting enough, those who chose to escape turned to the Underground Railway, which ironically is not a railroad.
Network of safe houses, secret routes, and meeting points that had to be kept secret from authorities and slave catchers. They were very clever and had secret codes. A station was a safe house for hiding the escaped slaves. A station master was a person who owned the safe house. A conductor was a person who led the passengers from station to station, and a passenger were escaped slaves. Harriet Tubman was a famous conductor. At this time, let's go live location to Taylor, who will fill us in on what's currently happening.
One smile, action.
Harriet Tubman, heroine of the Underground Railroad, just passed away from pneumonia. She will be buried at Fort Hill Cemetery in Auburn. Now here with expert English to answer a few questions about Harriet Tubman's journey. How did Harriet become part of the Underground Railroad? Harriet Tubman was born a slave in Dorchester County, Maryland. She was hired out for the first time to James Cook in 1828 and worked for many masters for several years. In 1834, Harriet Tubman was accidentally hit in the head with a large weight and suffered from the injury for the rest of her life. In 1849, Harriet tried to escape with two of her brothers, Ben and Henry, but after several days, they forced her to return because they got lost. Once her brothers safely returned, Harriet left 2 weeks later to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and made it with the help of strangers on the Underground Railroad, personal courage, and faith in God. A year later, Harriet became a conductor on the Underground Railroad. What did Harriet do as a conductor? Harriet's first rescue as a conductor was her niece Cassine and Cassine's 2 children. She also successfully rescued her brothers Moses, Robert, Ben, and Henry in 1854. Later, in 1857, Harriet led her parents to safety and freedom. Also with her family, Harriet led over 300 slaves to safety. Thank you, Ayla, for more information on Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad. Telling us more about Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad. I'm now here with Sydney and Caroline. Caroline was a station master, and she will tell us more about Harriet Tubman and what she was like. Sydney was the granddaughter of May, who was also a station master. Now, Caroline, tell us about did Harriet Tubman ever stay at the station?
Yes, she did. She was a very courageous person full of great determination. She was 5'2" tall, but very tough. On several occasions, Harriet would bring the runaway slaves to my home, even though the slave owners offered great monetary rewards for Harriet's capture. I was firmly against slavery and did what I could to help those in need. I supplied food and water and hid the runaway slaves until they were picked up and brought to a safe house further north.
How did Harriet find your station?
There are many signals to tell if your home was a station. The main one was a strip of white bricks along the chimney, so Harriet knew my house was a station because I had the white bricks on my chimney.
Thank you, Caroline. Now, Sydney, tell us about your grandmother.
My grandmother owned a station. She was abolitionist and she opposed slavery. She would tell me many stories about Harriet Tubman. She admired her courage. She would show up with runaway slaves in the middle of the night and my grandmother would take them in. But she had to be careful because the law imposed a $500 fine on anyone who helped conceal escaped slaves. And that was a lot of money at the time, and we did not have that kind of money.
Thank you, Sydney, for sharing your story. Now back to Jacob and Alexa.
Thank you, Taylor. Harriet Tubman was an astonishing woman who risked her life in order to help others.
Yes, Jacob, Harriet Tubman will continue to inspire people with her bravery. She will be dearly missed and never forgotten. We will keep you posted as updates become available. This is Alexa and Jacob with the latest new update right here on ACST News, Channel 8 in New York. And we're out!